Hello, let's try to decipher Talcott Parsons' theories. Mainly, we would like to decipher his theory, his concept of AGIL and pattern variables. Many students find this thinker quite difficult to understand. So, instead of preparing a whole lecture on this particular thinker, let's try to decipher these two particular concepts of his. Now, you should remember one thing, that whenever you are studying a new thinker or any new concept, try to relate that particular concept with something that you have already studied. Why? It is necessary because then you build on your knowledge on a solid base of a strong knowledge. For example, you already know about functionalism, you are well aware of this concept, of this perspective, your base is already strong, so you need to build on this particular base. So, it is a kind of superstructure. So, here we are trying to understand Talcott Parsons, but we need to relate it with functionalism. He was a functionalist, or alternatively known as a structural functionalist, but he derived his theory from the already existing body of knowledge, which was functionalism. Now, in functionalism, we learned that every society has certain needs or functional prerequisites. So, every society has certain needs or functional prerequisites, and these needs have to be fulfilled in order for the society to function smoothly. And these functional prerequisites or needs are fulfilled by whom? By social institutions, by parts of the social structure known as social institution. Now, after knowing this concept, we will try to relate this with Talcott Parsons. In functionalism, we know about functional prerequisites. Every society has certain needs. Talcott Parsons said that every society has 4 functional prerequisites, and these are to be fulfilled in order for the society to smooth functioning, right? So, this is about social order. This is about social order. When these 4 functional prerequisites are fulfilled, a society is socially stable. Now, what are these functional prerequisites? They are denoted by this AGIL. A is short for adaptation, G for goal attainment, I for integration, and L for latency or pattern maintenance. Now, according to Parsons, in a society, in a social system, adaptation is carried out by the economic social system or economic social institution. Goal attainment is carried out by the government or the political, social institution. Integration is carried out by the legal system. So, legal, social institution, and pattern maintenance is carried out by a set of institutions like education, religion and family. So, AGIL is known, you can understand how it is related to social order. Now, in sociology, there are two concepts which you should be aware of. First one is social order, second one is social change. Now, according to Parsons, he gave us the concept of AGIL or functional prerequisites. Now, remember that the functionalists or Durkheim and other functionalists, they stressed only on social order. They did not tell us about social change. They ignored this concept of social change. They believed that every social institution in society is responsible for maintaining social order. But Parsons understood this criticism of functionalism and he took on this concept of social change. So, this was the difference that he had from other functionalism or other kinds of functionalist theories. So, in social change, he tells us something about pattern variables. So, AGIL is connected to social order and pattern variables is connected to social change. Now, what is there in pattern variables? If you remember, while maintaining social order, every society needs to have certain values or there should be a consensus of values, and because of this consensus, the society will be stable. Parsons used these values only, but instead of social order, he tried to apply it in social change. Now, how? He said that there are mainly two kinds of societies. First one is the primitive society and second one is the modern or industrial society. So, this is pre-industrial, this is industrial society. According to Parsons, every society has a set of pattern variables. For example, primitive has certain set and modern has certain set. But what happens in social change? During social change, the primitive society undergoes change and it becomes a modern industrial society. So, what happens when there is change from primitive to modern society? There is change in the pattern variables. There is change in the pattern variables. So, the change happens from set A, that means the pattern variables belonging to the primitive society, to set B, the pattern variables belonging to modern society. Now, in an ideal society, in an ideal modern society, it should have only one set, set B. In an ideal primitive society, it should have only one set, set A. But in reality, in today's world, we see that even though many nations, they have undergone modernization, and still we have a mixture of traditional plus modern values. So, what is happening here? We can see both set A variables and set B variables or values. So, here we are seeing a mixture or a coexistence of both these values. So naturally, whenever there is some action to be taken, there is always a confusion which is known as a dilemma according to Talcott Parsons, to choose between the values belonging to set A versus set B. So this happens because social change has taken place. Only after social change we see the coexistence of both these kinds of values or pattern variables. So this is in short Talcott Parsons theory of AGIL and pattern variables. Now there is another concept which is known as equilibrium. What happens in equilibrium? Usually a stable society is said to be in equilibrium, but this equilibrium is not static. This equilibrium is a dynamic equilibrium. So here what happens? Let's say we have different social institutions for AGIL. So for A we have economic, for G we have polity, for I we have legal, for L let's say we have family. So whenever there is change in any social system or social subsystem, for example, there is change in the economy, there is change in what? We have change in the economy. So whenever there is change in the economy, what will happen? A change in economy will lead to a change in polity, a change in legal, a change in family, religion, education. So that in totality, the system will again come back to equilibrium, and this concept is known as dynamic equilibrium, because always some kind of change is happening in all the social institutions or social subsystems. So this is how we can understand Talcott Parsons. We hope you will try to read more about this thinker, his theories, try to understand, and we hope you are able to decipher this particular thinker and you enjoy your learning of sociology. All the best, happy learning.